everyone, and welcome to another episode of Producing the Classics. I'm your host, Hunter Gause, and today I'm here with Mr. Rushion McDonald. How are you today?
I'm doing really well, really well. I'm kind of trying to find my little zone on this sofa here, but I think we'll be all good.
All right, so first question, I want to just ask about who you are as a person in your beginnings as a producer. So tell me about yourself. Who is Rushion McDonald?
Well, born out of Houston, Texas. Come from a modest home, 6 sisters, 2 brothers. My father was a truck driver, 3rd grade education. My mom graduated from high school. I grew up in a 2-bedroom shotgun house. And basically that's how it started for me. It started for me with basically in a community that people feel is, they'll use the word ghetto, hood, impoverished. Those are the terms that were thrown around about the community that I grew up in, that I was born into. And those type of communities are sometimes left back or left out or discriminated against because they feel that it's not an area where it's red line for insurance. It's an area where, from a tax purpose, the tax dollars aren't there, so the education is not there. So basically I started in the hole.
And do you have any hobbies?
Yes, I love to bake. I have a very popular TikTok account, Rushion McDonald. In fact, one of my cherry cheesecake videos over 200,000 views right now.
Wow.
It's a no-bake cherry cheesecake.
Wow, that
That's right.
sounds
Do
amazing.
not have to put it in the oven. It's a no-bake cherry cheesecake. 200,000 and counting.
Wow, well, you're just such a popular TikToker and such a great baker. What made you want to become a producer?
I think that what I tell everybody, you hear the word pivot a lot. You hear the word, and especially because of the pandemic, because we all had to pivot in 2020 because we didn't expect that to happen. We didn't expect in our lifetime that this country would say stop. It reset itself, and in that reset process, a lot of dreams were altered. A lot of paths or directions or goals that we set had to be changed. And so my life has always been tied to pivoting. If I see an opportunity, I maximize that opportunity. I'm not afraid to change, and most people are afraid of change. But I tie goals and expectations to my change, and I tie realistic goals to my change. I know recently. Here's an example of how you can just set a goal, and then it gives you a window of planning. I have a vegetable garden that I plant every year. I plant in April, and I have collard greens, I have cabbages, I have Brussels sprouts and sweet potatoes, I have jalapeno peppers, sweet banana peppers, watermelon, cantaloupe, and each one of those are tied to a maturity date. So, like for instance, the collard greens and the cabbages are 45 days. So in 45 days, I will be pulling those up, taking them in my kitchen and cooking them, because a lot of people are tied to graduations, or when I say if you're going to get an education, you come to college 4 years. If you got a job, a promotion, maybe 1 to 5 years where you might meet your dreams. So that can lead to frustration. So if you tie yourself to short-term goals, in the business world, I always tell people 90 days. But if you want to shorten it and see your work and see your craft grow, start a garden. And not only does a vegetable garden pay off, it also gives you food to eat and then share those happy times with. So if you become goal-oriented, tied to goals that you can reach, and that leads to some degree of satisfaction.
Well, you've also become the producer of several different things.
Yes, I have.
What work would you say you're most proud of?
I think that I always had an opportunity to be the chief marketing officer for the Air National Guard, where I was responsible for all the marketing, social media posts, the commercial development, the strategic planning of how to recruit for anybody who's interested in joining the Air National Guard. And I was over all 50 states, including Washington, D.C., as well as 4 countries. And so that allowed me, from a perspective as a black person, to look at things from a very general market window, and it allowed me to also maximize my creative effort, because I felt that was the first time I had done something for my country in a very patriotic manner. It felt really good.
Okay. If you could redo anything you've ever worked on in your life, what would you redo and why?
If I could redo anything I've ever worked on in my life, I think that's a catch-22 because you can't look back on your successes or your failures. You can think about it, and when people ask me that question, I really don't respond to it because my future is what I'm looking at, not what I've accomplished. What I don't want to do if I've made a mistake, I try not to repeat that mistake. And if I've been successful, I try to maximize that success. I don't try to repeat it because you can't repeat success. When Tom Brady says he wants to win another Super Bowl, he knows he's going to do it with different players. They're going to win different games in different circumstances. He's not trying to repeat the previous Super Bowl he won. So when people ask me that question, I tend to move forward with my thought and tell people, do not look in your past from a standpoint of trying to say what you didn't do. Look at your future and discuss with people what you can do. That shows greater leadership and also puts you in a position to maximize your value time. Because everything you do is valued when it comes to time. What happens is we monetize that through salary, through revenue. That's how you monetize it. But if you really want to understand your time, then you understand there are 24 hours in the day. Learn to take advantage of each hour.
Wow, that's a great answer. And then finally on this part of the segment, what advice would you give your younger self right now?
What advice? Kind of like similar to the other question. I would say that when I was 23 years old, I will respond to this one, is that a guy came up to me and he said, hey, Rushion. It was the guy who mentored me. I always remember his name was Don. He was a white guy. It was one of my first full-time jobs. And I was still at a point in my life I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Did I want to go back to college, which I eventually went back to college and got my degree in mathematics and minor in sociology. But it was the period of my life where I didn't know what I would do. But everybody always saw something unique. Everybody always saw something special in my brand, in my way I spoke, where I talk. And so I feel that if he told me, Rushion, just save $50 a day, just invest $50 a day into a stock account. If I would have done that, then if I would have followed that advice financially, it would have been a wealth of financial success I would have been living in today.
Wow.
Because it's just a modest investment, but it accumulates. And then it goes into dollar cost averaging. Because stock market works like this. There will be down, and when it's down, you buy. And when it's high, you don't. But it's called dollar cost averaging. So you might buy high, buy low, and that's what the term dollar cost averaging comes from. So if I would give some advice to the young Rushion, save that $50 a month.
That's definitely some advice to my ears. Now, diving deeper into you and being a producer, we know you have a production company, 3815 Media.
Absolutely.
Tell us about 3815 Media.
3815 Media, our mission is to encourage students to go to college through recruitment, HBCUs or general market schools, by putting them in the position to get job opportunities, internship opportunities, and more importantly, scholarship opportunities, because we want students to leave school debt-free. Right. We know that's a big issue right now, that the students trying to figure out how the government can give them some type of relief by wiping away their college debt. Well, that may not happen because politically they're in a politically charged season. So if you talk about you're going to give somebody a free ride, that can be used against you in the political season. So I doubt if that really happens. But I feel there are opportunities out there that can allow you to have a free ride, and it's not always tied to you having the best grades. It's being position you to talk to the right people who will allow you to continue your 4-year or an extended education period. If you want to go to graduate school or seek a professional law or medical degree, that's available out there. And so that's my goal. My goal is to make people's lives better. My goal is to achieve things that are not ordinary, and ordinary is getting up every day. My goal, I get up at 4:30 Monday through Friday, every day at 4:30 a.m. And I tell people when they say that, most people squinch and go, 4:30, what is he doing at 4:30? Well, first of all, 4:30 to 5:30, nobody bothers me. Because guess what? They're sleeping. So I absolutely get my personal time. That 1 hour, I can do whatever I want to do. I can read the paper. Nobody's going, hey, can you put this out? Hey, what you doing? Nobody says that. Not between 4:30 and 5:30. 5:30, I'm usually preparing, and it allows me to think about what I'm going to do for that day. Because the average person starts thinking when they arrive at work. That way they're playing catch up the entire day. And so by the time I arrive at the work, I'm already have a concept of what I'm going to do, and I've already completed a lot of tasks mentally. Because a lot of people don't understand that if you want to be successful in life, you have to conquer the mental game. This is not the physical game.
Right.
It's the mental game. And that comes to time management. And time management allows you to multitask. In those terms that I just said, time management, multitask, the mental game, if you are able to master those things, then you will be very, very successful in life. The average person can't do it because of the fact that they are controlled by the word, I need my sleep. There is some degree, a high level of responsibility in getting sleep. But you can sleep your life away and miss on a lot of goals.
And I also researched that you are
They ain't set you well with you. You must be a sleeper.
I am. I cannot lie. I'm definitely a sleeper.
I can tell.
So I was like, oh, I definitely use
I
that
can tell when you looked at
excuse.
me. Did he say sleep? No sleep?
No
I don't know how
sleep?
that's gonna work.
4:30?
Yeah.
You won't see me.
I'm gonna tell you something. I go to bed I might go to bed at midnight. I might go to bed at 1. I might go to bed, and because I will get up at 4:30 because of the fact that if you set a goal, you can't break it. You can't live your life tied to a snooze button. Because if that's your life, if you believe life allows you just to keep extending your dreams, that's not true. And that's what a snooze button is. A snooze button is a fake reality that you can buy more time, that you can get more sleep, that you can become more relaxed. All it is doing is delaying your goals. If you're willing to delay your goals, then press snooze. If you're willing to say, I can get up at 5:30 or 6 on one day or 7 on one day or 8 on the, then you're delaying your goals. You can only reach your goals by having a consistent pattern of how you want to achieve them. If you don't have that consistent pattern, then you're going to frustrate yourself mostly and also frustrate people around you because basically you'll never take on a leadership role, but you're demanded, but people can't count on you.
That just gave me a lot of motivation to finish out this final week of school. So I also researched that you are an Emmy Award winner and an NAACP Award winner. Mm-hmm. Out of all these awards, which one were you the most excited to get?
I think that you get a lot of honors in life when I've been fortunate. The Emmy, when you work hard to get them, when you get the honors, you realize how valued they are. Because you'll read resumes where people say Emmy nominated, or they'll say NAACP Image Award nominated. Mm-hmm. So you mean that, okay, I actually won this. Yes. It's not a nomination, and I got 2 Emmys and 3 Image Awards. And so it lets me know that the body of work that I've done in my life is well respected, and you can't take that away from me. That is how I look at my college degree. You can't repo your college degree. I don't care how high your college debt is. Can't nobody take it away from me. And so you have to live your life doing things that people can't take away from you. And it's not about a house. They can take that away from you. But what they cannot take away from you is your education, and they cannot take away the respect that you have for yourself. You can give that away if you want to, but they can't take that away from you.
That's a very good answer. You have very good answers.
I try.
So I also saw you have done a lot of work with Steve Harvey over the past years. Are you and Steve Harvey like best friends now? Because y'all do so much work together?
No, we're not best friends. I think that, and I would say that, Nick, people snip that out. Rushion, we're not best friends. No, we're just friends. Like I said, in our life, I met Steve like in '85. He was my opening act in stand-up when I was doing stand-up, and that's how I met him. In 2000, I started managing his career. I saw a vision in him. I saw something in him, and he saw something in me that could help his career at that time. And but I always felt he could cross over. I always felt that he had a skill set that people saw him as a black comedian, but he could entertain anybody. And I always felt that way. And so we went on a ride. We went on a ride together as respected friends, as people who saw things different, as he would always say, through a third eye. And from 2000 to 2016, we sold a book called Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man for 3 million copies. and it was translated into 30 languages, which Will Packer eventually produced into two #1 box office movies, Think Like a Man, Think Like a Man 2. I did the contract for Family Feud, which at the time when we took over that contract, it was 1.7 in the ratings. After the first year, it was 2.4, and that's the highest syndicated game show today. We've done his talk show, helped launch his talk show. The Steve Harvey Morning Show in 2005, when we launched that, it was only 5 syndicated stations. Now it's over 80 markets. It's the top syndicated morning show in the nation, hosted by him and a great cast with Nephew Tommy and Junior and my girl Shirley and Carla. So all that is part of my legacy, part of my stuff. So when people ask me, are we friends? We did a lot of great things together as business partners, and we understood and respected each other's talents. And he is a very gifted talent, and I am a very gifted producer. And I see things differently from most people. And what I saw in him was an amazing amount of greatness. And I saw a super hard worker, and he's super smart.
Speaking of Think Like a Man, last week Think Like a Man reached 10 years.
Yes.
How do you feel about that? Like, does it just feel like it was yesterday when it came out and everything and working on it?
So I didn't realize that was 2012. That's truly, because of the fact that Will Packer, who recently did the Oscars, and an incredible body of work that he's put together. In fact, he's the only person in box office history that has had 10 consecutive #1 movies at the box office.
Wow.
And he's an HBCU grad from FAMU. In fact, he graduated with honors in engineering. So that's what I always tell people, always be prepared to pivot. My degree is in mathematics, my minor in sociology. I'm not doing anything. I don't even do my own taxes, okay? So the Lord knows I'm not doing anything with numbers except counting money, okay, and adding things, making sure they are totally not correctly. You put a tax document in front of you, will be a problem because I'm not going to mess with it. That's how much confidence I have when it comes to my personal numbers. And so when I look at a movie, a body of work, you look at the people who've come out of that body of work who are still forces in the business today. Not only Steve Harvey is a force, Will Packer a force, Rob Hardy is a force. I'm just talking about who didn't appear on screen. Then you get in front of the screen. It was the launching pad for Kevin Hart, who is today probably a mega superstar. Just the other day, he got a $100 million investment infusion into his properties, Laugh Out Loud and all those things. And then from there, you had Terrence J, you had Megan Good, you had Regina Hall, who hosted the Oscars, Gabrielle Union. So that, Taraji P. Henson, I'd be remiss if I forget her name. Michael Ealy, so it's just, when you look at that, the names of the talent in front of the screen and behind the screen, you realize why it was really a special project to be a part of. Special, it sits on my wall in my office in Atlanta. Everybody's autographed on it. I'm so proud I was able to achieve that and maintain that. But it was a special body of work that we did, and it was #1 for 3 consecutive weeks at the box office. I think the Avengers knocked us out.
So earlier on, we discussed the present and the future. Mm-hmm. So what are you working on right now? What are we expecting to see coming up soon from you?
I think that I'm working on a lot of TV projects, that I'm developing. Stephen A. Smith is his business manager with ESPN. So we're developing a lot of TV ideas because he has a deal with ESPN and Disney. And so we're developing that for him, as well as expanding his brand outside of sports. That's my mission. I'm the CEO of his company, as well as the owner and the president of my company, which is 3815 Media. Like I said earlier, it's based out of Atlanta. So my goal is about pushing Black excellence to the forefront, allowing people to understand our value and our contributions in this country beyond sports, beyond entertainment. It's a global 360 presence that we have out there. And it's important that we start telling our stories. And my goal is to tell our stories. But also I have the ability to communicate with everybody. And so, because God has given me that opportunity, that lane, that window, to be able to say those things publicly. And then you in turn gather the information from me, and you realize and say, we all fit in. We all truly can get along if we all share the same information base. The problem is we don't do that. Our world today has become so sectionalized, whether it's Fox or it's MSNBC or it's CNN, and people are grabbing people's mindset and then holding them hostage. And that's sad. When we all should be appreciative of the ability to grab information and share it, and we're not doing that anymore.
And my final question and favorite question to ask anybody, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Well, first of all, where do I see myself in the next 5 years? I think that I look at next 20 years, the next 30 years, the next 40 years. I'm working on my legacy. My legacy is to be a worldwide impact of positivity, changing people's lives, pushing that narrative that you can be great and allowing it to be no limits to anybody. Right now, that narrative of you can be great is still limited to people who, one is told, only have the assets to participate. I think that if I was in that lane, I wouldn't be sitting here today. People saw value in me, people saw talent in me, and they challenged me to be great. And my goal is to challenge everybody in my life to be great. That comes into my spectrum, and I know it works because I see people talk to me all the time about how I've impacted them with my ability to say you can be different, you can be a little bit different than most people expect you to be. So in 5 years, I expect I have to go 10, I have to go 15, I have to go 20. I don't limit. I'm not afraid of death. We all know that's going to happen. So my goals are to push beyond what I can do now. And so that's why I can't say what I'll be doing in 5 years. I expect to be changing the world for the next 30, 40 years.
Well, I'd like to thank you for coming on to our show today. It's been a great talk. I'm Hunter Gause with Producing the Classics, signing off.